Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me once again to break down the latest episode of Miss Marvel, it's Vic.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Before we get started, we do want to let you know we have a live show we do every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's on twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. That link is in the description down below. Come by, join the chat, and talk. We're talking currently The Flash as well as Obi-Wan Kenobi, so come by and hang out with us. If you can't make the show, we do have the episodes live, available on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. And while you have a moment to, please hit the subscribe button. It does help us out. Leave us some comments and let us know what you think of our opinions. And because, like I said, it helps us out, and we would appreciate it. So, Vic, without further ado, let's break it down.
So this episode of Miss Marvel, it's called Crushed, Episode 2. Kamala is riding high on her popularity, or what she thinks is her perceived popularity from Avengers Con, and she walks in doing her best Tobey Maguire impersonation after he switched.
Yeah.
After he got he was just like bebopping through, and she's doing the same thing, kind of bebopping through school, and we saw in the first episode that she's very much not that kid, but that little bit of confidence that she gained from becoming Miss Marvel has just like boosted her ego big time.
She was totally Bully Maguiring it.
Yeah, it was a little much. It was definitely a little much, but she gets there. She meets up with her clique, her group, her two buddies, I should say, actually.
Her clique. She's got two friends. Let's be honest.
But they figure out that of course, what's her face, Zoe Zimmer has just gotten like 500,000 followers and like all of this other stuff, like all this popularity and fame from her interaction with Miss Marvel. And she's just eating it up. Oh, it was so great. I was so close. I'm the only person that she would trust with her branding and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of this like influencer.
I gotta say this. If this is what kids are like, truthfully, dear Lord.
I mean, if you walk up to
we need to get rid of social media.
You walk up to a group of kids, say a group of 10 kids, you're gonna find at least 3 of them and be like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be an influencer. Like, really?
No, you don't.
That's what you want to do? You want to be an influencer? Okay.
No, that in today's world, that just means you want to sit around and think of stupid stuff and put on the internet and try and get likes. That's no way to live your life.
I mean, it worked out for a couple people because the co-star of this show, who played Nakia, she is exactly that. She was an influencer. Her best friend.
Oh,
the
really?
one that in this episode she goes to the mosque with, like that's what she does. She's an influencer, and she saw that this was available, and she put herself out there, and she got the job. So like, it's a thing.
And that's the problem with Hollywood too. It's like, oh, who are the influencers? That is no way to cast anything.
Well,
TV or movies.
I mean, I looked into it a little bit, and she has done a couple of smaller films. She has an agent. She put herself out there, but like
I could go get an agent.
Her mainstream thing is that she is an influencer, and she has a huge following. But you want to know something? When it comes to younger kids and these shows that have younger kids in them, that is what draws them to the movies. Like, they know who these kids are and who these people are, so they follow it. It's ridiculous, but that's how it is.
Our future is doomed.
So during one of my favorite scenes in the episode is basically where they're at the lunch table and they're talking, and Zoe Zimmer's like, oh yeah, this and that. Oh, what's her name? And you're like, oh, her name is Nightlight. Yeah, that's it, Nightlight. I'm like, oh my god, it's ridiculous. And she's like, so this girl, saves her life and gets all the thing, and Zoe is just just living off of it, and she's like, oh, the superhero is so great, and Miss Marvel's like, thank you. Her attitude in this was cracking me up because she was very like drunk on her own kind of new powers. Like, you could tell she just wants to, like, tell everybody who she is so they can know she's a superhero. But she's so drunk on it through the entire episode that she's just, like, zoning out half the time.
I think she zones out through most of the first episode too.
Well, she's
and because they make a point of that.
But she's distracted, not zoned out. Like, she's literally just, like, punch drunk on her own self in this episode. Whereas she was distracted in the other one. But we have a new character introduced, Cameron.
It's a new boy in school.
Yeah,
we did the obligatory him jumping into a pool.
And he's got
almost
British,
famous.
He also has a British accent.
Yeah, was he in the school scenes, or was the first scene at the party?
He was in the school scene. So when she was in the when they were in the cafeteria, he comes in and she's like, "Oh, you're the new senior in school." And he's like,
"Okay,
yeah." And she's like, "I'm having a party. You should come." So of course she's trying to invite the coolest kids in the school to her party, and of course, like, he is new, so he's like, "All right, I'll go." So next scene, she goes back. She's at her mom. She goes to her mom and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for sneaking out. I apologize, blah, blah, blah." And oddly enough, they didn't write the mom's lines typically, to where the mom would just be like, "I'm so disappointed in you, blah, 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 blah." She was just like, "I understand that, like, you want to be, like, a normal teenager. You want to do all of this stuff, but I'm just here to protect you, blah, blah, blah." And they went the traditional, like, mom trying to protect kid route. And she's like, "I know this is probably not the right time to ask you, but would you mind if I went to a party?" She's like, "Okay, fine," which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of odd considering she wanted to go to a convention where, and she wanted to go to the convention, and the parents wouldn't let her go. There was, admit that, no, you're not going. But a party? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Oh, it was a get together. She's having some people over at her house, and the girls in her
school,
and the girls in her school, and they're in the neighborhood. She's part of their neighborhood. Like, it's a big difference between, hey, I want to go to a whole nother part of New Jersey for something, as opposed to, I want to go down the street to this girl's house and hang out for the evening. But this party is kind of reminiscent of what the actual origin story for Miss Marvel is, and even down to some of the outtakes of it. Because she's obviously Muslim, they don't drink alcohol, and she asked the kid she's like, "Oh, can I have a sip with you? You want some of this?" And he gives it to her. She's like, "Is there alcohol in this?" He's like, "No, it's just orange juice," and she drinks it, and it's full of vodka. That's actually pulled directly from the comic book. So there were little bits and pieces throughout the episode that were kind of pulls from the comic book. But then, like you said, Cameron makes his belly splash into the scene, and then they do the whole googly girly.
Yeah, they do the whole slow motion getting out of the pool thing, which we've seen so many times. It's unnecessary, especially when we're dealing with high school kids. It's really unnecessary.
Did you think the same thing when what was it? Where the girl gets out of the swimming pool?
If you're referring to Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
yes.
Let's make something clear. When that movie came out, I was 4.
Doesn't matter.
Something like that. But
you've seen it since then, correct?
Maybe once.
Okay, and you know the history of it, right?
What do you mean
that scene is the most paused scene of any movie in history, according to like some
doesn't make it right.
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't make it right.
And neither was what was the one? All right. It was bad too.
Oh, Days of Confused, but there was no nudity in that. Come on now.
There was no nudity in this either.
Well, yeah. Well,
yeah. You can't be picky and then let one go and let the other not. But in this,
I mean, we talked, but something else too that we talked about with with Superman and Lois was the access of alcohol.
Yeah.
And the kids having a party. Yes, I understand this happens in real life. Yes, I've been to one of those parties. Do I feel like we should be putting that out there? Definitely. No, I don't think so. And I'm honestly getting kind of tired of it. I mean, they did it through Cobra Kai as well too.
Yeah.
And I called it out then too.
It is what it is because it's a trope at this point. Like you need the kids to get out on their own, and obviously kids are going to do things that they shouldn't do.
But but the thing of it is, to me, it's making it seem like it's okay.
Yeah, definitely not. Well, at least this one gets broken up. I did forget a couple things. I'm pulling most of this from my brain. There was a scene in the school where what's the kid's name? Isn't it's not Simon?
Her friend was. This is a scene, in my opinion, that we shouldn't have even had. And I'll say why in a second. He is at the guidance counselor's office, and it turns out he's been accepted to a college
Caltech.
in California.
Caltech.
Right.
The
Now,
MIT of the West Coast.
Here's where there's two reasons why. First one, it's nitpicky, but the fact that why would the guidance counselor know before him? Because the letter should have been sent to his home and not to the school.
Unless it's
second of all
being put through by the school and not personally.
Okay, fair enough. Second thing, this show is not about him. We didn't need the scene. We could have done without it. Now, yes, we have a scene later where he has something to tell her, but won't or didn't tell her, and you can already tell in his emotion that there's something bothering him. You still could have left that in there because eventually he's going to have to tell her. And you could have, and all that stuff could have been done off camera in terms of him dealing with it. The show's not about him. It's just like the scene with her other friend who we haven't really talked about yet. She is wanting to get on the board at their mosque, and so it's like this show is not about her either. We don't. There's too much of this. We need to cut out some of the fat of the show out and put stuff in here. Sure, you would have lost some stuff in here, but that's why you rewrite it and restructure it.
You were so hard on this show. Okay, so
I would be the same for any show. I'm just as hard as on the other shows too.
I see your point. However, there are things that I think they're trying to do. One with Frick, what is his name? Call
him Kobe. He looks like a Kobe.
It's definitely not. I can't think of what his name is.
No, I'm sure that's not it.
Anyway, he
culture appropriates in one scene.
No. I hate you sometimes. That is not what happened. Anyway, I think that
You think he's Muslim?
I think the scene where that happened with the whole Caltech thing, I think the reason why they put that in there is because of the questions that a lot of people were asking, like, what is the point of this kid? And the point of this kid is he's Ned in Spider-Man. He's the kid. He's like her sidekick, kind of, or her support. But I think the idea is for them to show that this kid is super smart and not just someone who can airbrush an outfit. Like, the whole point is, like, this kid is MIT, like, Caltech material. He's 15, 16 years old, and Caltech's already trying to court him to go there. The idea is that this dude is super smart. And then it also plays into the scene, like, after they're kind of training and they're doing their whole training montage, which I thought wasn't too bad. I really like the scene where she fell off the top of the roof, and she's like, "You've got to let me go," and they made it play like it was this big, like, drop that they
I knew
and
there
then
was
just like half a second down. I thought that was kind of that was cute. But the idea later on, like when they go to get something to eat, he's got a tablet that has like scanned her like physiology, and he's like, "This isn't like this isn't because of the Bengal. Like, I'm not getting these readings from the Bengals. I'm getting these readings from you. Like, this power is coming from you." And I think that's the idea, is like, this kid is super, super smart, and he's able to create things like that. And I think the idea was like, hey, that's why he has this thing, is because this kid is super smart.
Yeah, and I figured that as much just from that one line. Like I said,
if they hadn't done anything, that you would have been like, "How's that kid have that? Why does he have it? What's the deal?" Because they didn't portray him as being
he designed those gloves before,
they
and
were sure anybody gloves with lights on them. They didn't do it.
Yeah, I realized that. But you're already But the thing is, you're giving the hint that he has some kind of electronics mental capacity. What I mean is, he knows that type of thing and knows what to do. So you've already kind of teased it there, and then for him to say that, I wasn't surprised by it. Uh, that scene aside, I would have been like, okay, I get it. He's the techie. We already kind of figured that out anyway in the first episode. Even with this episode aside, we already figured out he's going to be the tech guy that designs everything.
We talked about the fact that he is literally like a kid that knows how to solder before. Like, we had that conversation in the last episode where we're like, oh, like, he's just a kid that knows how to solder. He was able to create a pair of power gloves using light strips that he soldered together. Like, we knew he could do that part, but to say that he was a Caltech MIT level, kid, like, super genius, that's not what I got out of that. Like, this was more leading towards the fact, like, you're supposed to know that this kid is super smart. The other thing that happened, her power.
He's going to take on the Iron Man suit. He's going to be the young Iron Man.
No, definitely not. I don't think so. But her nose started glowing, which I thought was interesting. Like, like she was
like Rudolph.
She was daydreaming and she was thinking about her powers, and her it just manifested on her nose. So she jumped up and ran to the bathroom. And Nakia was trying to see if she was okay, and she, like, it shows that she doesn't have control of her powers at times because of her, like, her lapse of concentration. Like, the powers just pop up. My theory on her whole power situation, like, we talked a little bit last time about the fact that she's an Inhuman, and that Inhumans were basically experiments that the Kree dynasty did on humans back in the day, that created this Inhuman gene in some people, and they don't know how many people in the world have it, because obviously through crossbreeding generations of people, it's spread out and not all people have the gene, but obviously it's in her. And that bracelet somehow activated, which I'm sure is just a Kree fucking, alien device that was designed to bring out people's Terrigen abilities, whereas when they just use a Terrigen bomb, they, like, hit them with the crystals and the dust, and they would inhale it, it would get over them, then they would go into, like, stasis, and then they would pop out. That's how help me,
like,
in the show
Yo-Yo.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's how they did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In this case, I think that this is how this piece of technology manifests the Inhuman ability that she has. But they even did her in Big in Hand, which I thought was, they needed to put that in there, because you were even talking about the fact, like, oh, she'd make her hand grow, but she did in this. So there's just a lot of little pieces and bits to it. They go to the mosque, and they are talking about, the fact that, like, they're treated less than the men in the mosque, and they want things to be better. That whole thing, I forgot what it was called now. That holiday, the fest, I think it's like Bless Fest or something like that, is when I looked it up. I can't remember what it's called, though. It's called the Bless Festival. And basically it's just like a big, like, New Year's type of party that they have in the Muslim community. And you said he culturally appropriated there. He didn't. He just dressed like them for the day because it's something that they do as part of being part of that event. Like, everybody dresses up in the appropriate garb for that, and that's what he did. It wasn't cultural appropriation. But while they're there, they realize that the mosque is falling apart. They're holding a I guess there's a board for the mosque, and she decides that she's like, you should get involved and you should become part of that. And she's like, I don't want to do that. And then one of the best names ever, the Illuminantes. I thought that was funny. They
had different groups of people that they were going to try to influence to vote for her friend, right, to get on the board. The names were that name was kind of funny. The other ones, it's just like
they're the little groups that are in any culture.
Yeah, like, it's just groups that are in every.
You have your rebellious teenage boys. You have your influencer girls. You have your busybody aunts that are in every community. You have all of the men that hang out and drink on the stoop, the uncles, as it were. And she had to fight her way through all of those, but the main one she had to get, her white whale, was Kamala's dad. And she pushes hard on him to get him to vote for her, and that just caused a little bit of drama. But while all this is going on, it sets up the one of the scenes where this kid, for some reason, decides he wants to hang out of a window at in a precarious position and put himself in danger to get a selfie of him. It looks like he's hanging out of the window, which comes true because he slips and falls out the window.
This is so dumb. Like, I know kids are stupid, but this has got to be the dumbest idea I've ever seen. And you're going to hold on to a curtain and hang out a window. I don't know.
They do stupid stuff like this, dude. They just do.
Where was his parents?
They were right downstairs, looking straight
Apparently
up at their
not
kid about
keeping
to
it.
die.
Yeah,
But like when it comes down
I
to
would
it, like
smack the crap out of him.
these kids, like especially like this kid is trying to get a selfie and he's putting it up on his Instagram or whatever. Like they'll do stupid stuff. You see it online all the time about some kids.
See, and that's the problem with social media.
Not paying attention to what they were doing. But she goes up and she puts on her outfit and she goes to save him.
I'm glad she had it there because she hadn't, she didn't bring it with her, but she happened to get back over.
She had her backpack.
Get home.
She had her backpack on her, so maybe it was.
I guess she figured she might need it for reasons.
I mean, she's pretty excited about using her powers. And before this whole thing happened, she was running around outside on the roof, running around using those powers. So it's not too far fetched that she may have had it in her backpack. So she goes and saves the kid. She uses her hard light, which she has officially named it, which I called last episode. It's just like Symmetra from Overwatch. She uses hard light to make her light pads, and she runs up and saves the kid. But again, she gets distracted and they start to fall. She creates a huge bubble, which I thought was funny if you look carefully when she first makes the big platform that they land on after they start to fall. She's face down on it. The kid lands on her, and they've got her face smushed into the light pad. If you look through it. And then she stands up and she tries to get this. Like, she makes a little step for the kid, but the kid's just standing there staring at her and reaching for her hand instead of walking down the thing, and it breaks. And oh no, she was distracted from the vision, wasn't it?
She got distracted by there was like she had like some kind of vision going off her head because it was like some lady coming towards her to the light. She gets distracted. He falls and lands on a car. He's dead now.
No, he doesn't land on the car. She throws pads down so that he falls.
No, he landed on the car.
Yeah, but she caught him, and then he would fall to he only fell like 2 feet each time until he landed on top of the car.
And he landed on the car and dented the roof of it, so he's dead now.
No, because he was screaming, "Ow, my ankle hurts." They're like, "Oh, we'll help you. We'll call somebody to help you. He's fine."
Your ankle hurts? How about your back, dude? You landed on it and crushed the roof of the car.
Either way, that kid lived. They didn't kill a kid in episode 2 of the show.
Should have.
But let's talk about the Illuminantes real quick. She goes to the Illuminantes to find out as much as she can about her great-grandmother. She wants to know, because she knows that the bangle came from her great-grandmother. It probably belonged to her great-grandmother. And she starts asking them about her great-grandmother, and she's like, they're like, "Oh, we heard that she was a snake. They used to call it a snake. And, oh, she's bad news. And, oh, my family knew her when we were in India, blah, blah, blah." And so she's getting the idea that her great-grandmother was probably a troublemaker of some sort. And in getting her abilities, she finds out from her Nana that she's like, "You have that? Why do you have that?" And I don't think she actually meant to send it to her. I think she was trying to send it to the mom. And the mom was like, "No." And then she ends up with it. But when she's trying to save this kid, she has this, she starts to go into, I guess, I don't know, that purple world. Like, when she first got it, she flipped over and she was in in a purple, hazy universe, like a mirror universe. She kind of starts to fall back into that, and then this woman comes out through this burst of light and distracts her, and that's how she ends up dropping the kid. But she tries to catch him by embiggening her hand, misses, and then she uses the disc to catch the kid, who then fell on top of the car, crushing the roof of the car and breaking his ankle. But surviving the fall. And she freaks out and she runs off.
Yeah, she runs off, and she's in an alley, and then then those guys that we saw, we didn't mention this earlier, but the guys at the end of last episode who I didn't end up seeing the scene, they showed up again. These are the same dudes
The
from
DODC.
yeah, they're the same dudes from Spider-Man, and they show up and they try and catch her, but another car drives by, and that's the dreamy boy from earlier. So she gets in the car,
Hold on.
all dressed.
Before you skip all that, when she landed in the alley, a drone came after her. Did you see what that drone was?
No,
It was Mysterio's drone. It was one of Mysterio's drones. The DLDC is using Mysterio's drones. The ones he was using to create the creatures.
Right.
Yeah, that's what those drones were that she was beating up when she was running from the drone, and she like jumps up and like slams one of them into the other one, and then she runs over them and she destroys the two drones. Those were Mysterio's drones.
Was there something on the drone that
No,
specifically you could tell
literally-
that?
they were literally the same exact drones from the movie. Like you can
Okay,
see them,
okay.
like, fly like the cylinder and then the two outside arms and the X's on them. Like they were Mysterio's drones. They were only showing green. They were like green, lit up green and everything, but they were definitely Mysterio's drones. I am almost 100% positive that's what they were. But
Well, she jumps in the car and in full gear, so now he knows that who she is.
And for some reason, they were not able to run around the truck fast enough to see her get into the car and drive off.
No. And as they're driving off, there's a voice from the back seat, and apparently it's his mom.
Yeah.
He's like, "This is my mom," and she already knows
that's the
about
same woman that she saw in her vision.
So, bum. Now, I got to say this about the episode.
Okay.
I thought it was better than the first one.
Okay.
Wasn't perfect. Wasn't the greatest either. I mean, it wasn't. It was all right. It was better than it was. Last episode was maybe a 2 out of 5 stars. This one maybe a 3.
Okay.
But the problem is it took too long to get to that, and the only reason it's that way is because of that last scene. Because you're finally getting into it. It's like, all right, this is the stuff the show should be about. I want to know about this stuff. Let's get to this. So hopefully, episode 3 now will be more of this.
Your statement from last episode is like they should have done this, and this. And I told you last episode, I was like, they need to introduce you to everybody first. That's what the first episode.
I don't need to know everybody else.
But they're all players in the game. Like you need it. Like they.
No,
you
not
don't
really.
Want to waste. You would have a problem if they were to waste a bunch of episodes trying to explain to you who a person was right before they were involved in the episode. So
the show's about her. I want to know about her. I don't want to know about all the side characters.
What they did.
Hey, if anything, I'm consistent, and I say the same stuff about the Flash as well too on that show. I don't need the stories. I say it with Superman and Lois as well too. So don't even act like I don't do that.
But I feel like because of Flash, you don't give these shows a chance to do their own thing. Because you don't like the way that Flash does it, and then when they do something differently, you're like, just get to the point. And I understand that because we've been jaded, but I don't feel the same way. Like I feel like this is a good progression. They showed us who all the characters were. They gave us the powers. They showed us who the potential bad guys were, which again, I'm telling you that the DODC is going to be chasing her the entire 6 episodes. So they are a bad guy in this, even though they're supposed to be the good guys. And then obviously whoever, I'm going to guess that is actually her great grandmother. Like, I think that was the great grandmother. And I feel like
if that's her great grandmother, then this boy that she's been fawning over is her great uncle.
I don't think it's her
great uncle.
I don't think it's actually her kid. I think like this is my mom in the sense of like either she made him or she adopted him, but I don't think that like it's her birth kid. Otherwise, it would be her. It would be her uncle. So I don't think that that's quite the situation. I think that if she is like, so say she has the ability, she has the powers, right? And it does end up being her great grandmother who had the bangle originally and had powers originally. I have a feeling that like this is gonna be like the idea was that like she sent the bangle to her daughter because she disappeared like her and she sent the bangle to her daughter, and maybe she wants it back, and then no, but the daughter it didn't do anything to the daughter, so it didn't activate. So, but the grandmother knows that it's trouble and was sending it to the moms because maybe that lady was after the grandmother to get the bangle, so that's why she sent it to the mom to hide it. But then she got a hold of it and put it on, and it activated her abilities. And then, like you were saying last episode, as soon as she activated the abilities, it basically pinged a beacon to who I'm going to say is probably her great grandmother. And that's why she's there now. But I think the reason she's there now is because she wants that bangle for that boy. Because I have a feeling that he may be an inhuman as well, but he can't activate until she gives him that bangle, and maybe she's trying to use him to get to her so that they can get the bangle from her. So that's my crackpot theory as to what's going on. I don't know if it's going to actually be the thing, but I don't know like hardly anything about this show. So
yeah,
crackpot theories.
Like I said, I think it's just taken too long. In viewing time, it's taken an hour to get to the nitty gritty. If I was watching this as a movie, a 2-hour movie, and it took an hour to get to the point, I'd be done.
If it was a 2-hour movie, obviously it wouldn't take an hour to get to the point.
Who knows?
They have to get 6 episodes,
right?
So they're gonna
right, but it's the MCU. They'd make a 2.5-hour movie out of it, even though it doesn't need to be. But who knows? Episode 3 maybe. I'm like, get to the point. You're wasting time. We're seeing all these side characters and their stories we don't care about. Let's cut the trim. And let's just get to the point. So hopefully,
if we did this show the way you want, you would have 3 episode shows.
Maybe.
What would be the point of that?
If you can tell the story in an hour and a half as opposed to 5 hours, then why not do it? Just because it's more doesn't mean it's going to be better.
You watch hours and hours and hours of that show on Twitch. Which literally there is
it's not really a show
plot point coming up out of that.
but it's still entertaining. It's still entertaining.
I think it's entertaining too.
Yeah, well, that makes one of us. But with that, we do thank you for watching, and on behalf of Vic,
that's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya. Man, you are a crotchety old dude these days.
Yep.